research project. Overview. My goal of this research project was to see the effects that age, gender, socioeconomic status all influence the relationship between the physical activity and the levels of depression an individual experiences. Overall, depression is a widespread mental health condition that significantly impacts quality of life and physical activity, and it is shown to reduce depression symptoms. However, this relationship can be influenced by demographic factors such as age, gender, and social economic status, also known as SES. Understanding these moderating effects can inform more targeted mental health interventions. The two main variables we're working with is one, the independent variable, which is physical activity and how frequently you do it each week. And the dependent variable is depression levels, and that's ranked between moderate, severe, minimal to no depression. So to go into more detail, the number of days per week that you engage in physical activity for at least 30 minutes is what we're tracking. And again, depression levels is based off the Beck Depression Inventory, or the BDI, which is a self-reporting measurement of depression symptoms. Age groups can go from 8 to 29, 30 to 44, and 45 and up. And then we have gender, self-identified genders as male, female, and non-binary. Socioeconomic is based on your education status, your income bracket, and your employee status, usually low income, mid income, and high income. The study looks at how often people use moderate physical activity and the relationship it has with their depression levels. We had about 250 people participate in a survey using the Beck Depression Inventory, and that's how we got self-reports for the study. My hypothesis was that individuals who participate in frequent physical activity will exhibit reduced depression symptoms. Doesn't matter their age, gender, or social economic background. So again, there was 250 participants, around the age of 29.4 years old. 60% identified as female, 40% as male. About 50% identified as white, 30% as black, 20% as Hispanic. And it was categorized with the BDI scales, with 120 participants classified as having mild depression, 80 moderate depression, and 50 with severe depression. This self-report scale categorizes depression into minimal, mild, moderate, and severe levels based on total scores ranging from 0 to 63. Participants reported that frequency of their moderate physical activity indicated how many times per week they engaged in such activity. Data was collected through an online survey platform, which recorded the responses. Participants completed an online survey that also answered their demographic questions, BDI scale, and sections assessing their frequency of physical activity. Upon completion, participants were debriefed, provided with mental health resources, and any additional support that was needed. Everything was kept anonymous and confidential from any other participants or people researching. All participants were informed of their rights and asserted that their data would remain confidential. So throughout the process, they were informed, given step-by-step instruction, and clear expectations. The results we found were that, kind of as shown, depression levels and the ranges and frequency of activity, their mean, and the ranges of times per week. Discussion. The findings of the present study supports the hypothesis that individuals who are more frequent with physical activity are more likely to report lower lower levels of depression symptoms, regardless of all the affected factors. A significant negative relationship that was found between moderate physical activity and depression severity indicates that higher activity levels are linked to fewer depression symptoms. Kind of the same kind of concept. But also individuals that were age and gender specific or socioeconomic outlines, some had better benefits than others based on those criteria, depending on the individual and the case. So there was kind of two things that I noticed could have needed improvement in my study. The first is just kind of clear and conciseness. There was a lot going on in this study, so it was hard to kind of keep track of, is it really being affected because of the physical activity, or was it being affected by the gender, ethnicity, and all that being played? So I think just having clearer, more specific studies may have helped kind of clear some of that up. And also kind of in that kind of same area, there's a lot of confounding variables with, your diet can affect your depression levels, your sleep, and the social support you have. Those were not even considered in the study at all, which could have been a major, factor to it. The next study, I'm definitely going to put that in consideration, and kind of, make it more detailed or focused on one specific interaction or topic. But the questions I kind of had after going over this study personally was, how does social economics affect depression levels? How does gender affect depression levels? What kind of activities are being considered in physical activity? Are participants accurately reporting their daily activity and levels? Because everything that was reported for this study was self-reported, so it can kind of lead to some questions. And what other factors are contributing to that results? Again, like the diet and your sleep and your support within the community. And these are my references that I used for the presentation. That is all. Thank you for learning about my research project.